Atlanta meets Kansas City this week in Sunday Night Football. What a week 1 and week 2 for both of these teams, especially an exhilarating victory for Atlanta. Maybe their most important victory since they won the NFC Championship all the way back in 2016. And for the Chiefs, 2 terrific victories by the slimmest of margins in beating both Baltimore and Cincinnati. And now Atlanta meets Kansas City on the Sunday night stage. This Defending the Kingdom deals with Week 3 focus, and it's brought to you, of course, by Ticketmaster. Placement is down. Butker's kick, leg through. It is high enough, and it is good! Kansas City! Hi, everyone. I'm Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, along with senior team reporter Matt McMullen. And for the Chiefs and Falcons, they go into Week 3, but Week 3 feels a little bit weird. We know about how Week 1 and Week 2, especially this year, you're playing the AFC Championship opponents for the last 3 years. And for Atlanta, they get a terrific Monday night victory, needing a touchdown and getting it with just 34 seconds to go. But there could be a Week 3 ambush letdown here. So we'll deal with Week 3 focus.
I think you're alluding to that Colts game a couple years ago,
Yes,
which remains one of the more inexplicable events in recent memory, particularly for this Chiefs dynasty over the last several years. It really shows that anything can happen in the NFL. Any given Sunday is a real philosophy. Good news is I think the Chiefs will be ready for this game because they watched Monday Night Football and saw a Falcons team that was fighting for their season and came out on top against the Eagles on the road. Not an easy thing to do. The Chiefs should be commended for starting 2-0, though. I mean, when the schedule first came out, you have to start with Baltimore and then play Cincinnati immediately after. 2 teams that have been right up there with the Chiefs at the top of the AFC over the last several seasons. To be 2-0 through that stretch is a major achievement. We're off to a great start, but got to keep it going here against Atlanta.
Yeah, can't slumber on Atlanta. We're going to get into the Falcons here later on in this episode. And the Chiefs had dominated the NFC for so many years in their crossover games. In fact, it's one of my thesis of why they won the division so many years, and the Chiefs have won the AFC West 8 years in a row because they dominated those crossover games, and the rest of the division did not. But last year it was 2-2 against the NFC North, and now the NFC South looks very different than what people thought it was going to be because the Saints are rolling people. You look at all of these teams in the NFC South, sans Carolina, and they're better than people think.
Yeah, the Buccaneers look pretty good. We'll see them here in a few weeks. That's why the NFL is the best. We can talk about things for months, like, I think this team will be good, this team won't be good, and then a couple of weeks happen, and everything changes. A lot of favorites lost just last weekend. A lot of teams that people thought would be really good this season are starting 1-1 or 0-2. I mean, it's crazy. The Ravens and Bengals are both 0-2. That right now for those teams, that's a big deal. And particularly when you play in the same division, one of those teams is in real danger of missing the playoffs. And it's crazy to be saying that here in Week 3. And we'll see what happens as the year goes on. But you never know what's going to happen in the NFL. And I'll just reiterate this. For the Chiefs to be 2-0 at this point is a very big deal. Now let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you get there. You got there. All right, one thing that's always there and crazy is our Around the World segment on Defending the Kingdom. I've got a couple good ones this week, but I'll let you jump into the space station and orbit the Earth.
I have 2 for 2-0. How about that?
I love it.
All right, so I heard from Mike.
Joshua Williams, too, and is a great play at the goal line and punt coverage.
There we go. He did make a great play.
Ooh.
Yeah, good for Josh. I heard from Mike in Fresno, California. We've been really big in Fresno lately because of Mr. Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Yep. And Mike is very proud of Xavier and Nico Remigio, who, of course, is on the practice squad. Nico went to Fresno State. Nico's still around, so he's proud of both of those guys. He also shouted out Stephon Page, a Fresno State alum, of course, a great Chief from years past. So shout out to you, Mike. Then also shout out to Jeff and Valerie. So I'm sure you've met them before. They come to a lot of games. Awesome people. Well, they just climbed Mount Rainier last weekend. And as someone that has climbed Mount Rainier before, I know that is not easy. So shout out to you both. Amazing achievement. The photos looked amazing. Congratulations.
Did they plant a Chiefs flag at the top of Rainier?
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask them.
I don't know if that's legal, but you could take a photo and take it down. You don't want to get arrested, but that's really impressive.
Yeah, it's not easy, I'll tell you.
Way to go. First of all, at the Chiefs Kingdom show on Monday night, there were people there literally from Maine, California, let's see, where else? Germany. They had come to the game against Cincinnati and stayed over for the show.
That's awesome.
There was like 6 states in Germany. We had German fans at the Hy-Vee on Berry Road for Trent McDuffie. Is great. But I've got a couple around the world. You ready for these two?
I'm ready.
Now, these 7 dudes I ran into by chance. You know I don't eat before games.
That's true. For those that don't know, even if it's a night game, like Sunday Night Football, like in Atlanta, he's not going to eat the entire day.
And I will eat a wildebeest. About 90 minutes after we do Chiefs Rewind, I am looking for anything edible at that point. So I was going to get something edible, and then I run into these 7 dudes. None of them have anything to do with the Chiefs Kingdom other than this is totally something you and I would do. These 7 guys will take a spot a year and go and just hammer it for the whole weekend. Like I think they went to K-State, Arizona on Friday night.
Okay.
Then they went to Mizzou, BC Saturday. Then they went to the Chiefs game against Cincinnati. And then they went to the Royals game Monday. Now,
wow.
Eli Novi from Jersey.
Okay.
These guys are all over the place. There's Dodger fans, UCLA Bruin fans, New Jersey Devil hockey fans. And they were going, who's your hockey team here? I go, I don't know, pick one. Maybe the Blues. But Dennis Bent from Los Angeles, Jack Robbins from L.A., he's the UCLA dude. Ron Macro, not Micro, but Macro from Orange County, California. Mike Wentz from L.A., Andy Kerr from Orange County, California, and Kurt Richter from Lowell, Massachusetts. These are just dudes that come together. They will pick a spot in the States and go, where can we go to a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday game? And that's what they did here.
This reminds me of Marlins Man. Remember Marlins Man? Would just go to sporting events around the country wearing Marlins gear and always have like the front row seat.
He's always
That's
at
so
that
cool.
World Series, right? He's always in the back. Yeah. Whatever happened to that guy?
I don't know. Maybe he moved on to new endeavors. I don't know. But that's awesome. I would love to do that kind of thing with my friends at some point. Just you go to a place and hit all the sporting events you can in a matter of days. That's so much fun.
I so thought of you when I was meeting these guys and just kind of chopping it up with them like, oh, my gosh, how fun would this be? So, anyway, that's what they did, and they're now thinking about the kingdom.
Okay.
They're into this episode.
They got a taste of it.
They got a taste of the kingdom. So just stay tuned with the Magnificent Seven and where will they go next year. And then there's another group. Now, if I'm coming out of the stadium and trying to go to my car well after the game, please know how famished I am and that I love to say hi to people, but no, I'm chasing the wildebeest on the National Geographic Channel.
I remember early on, years ago, you told me after like a preseason game, you texted me that you picked up a large pizza on the way home and ate the whole thing on the ground. It was the most relatable thing you've ever said. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty stupid. But anyway.
No, you got to do it. We won. You got to do it.
You got to do it. And it was a celebratory pizza. What can I say? But these 4 people stopped me just before I get to the car, and they're like, hey, you're the guy. Hey, so they you're the guy. You're the guy. So they came to the game, and they're from Sacramento, California.
Okay.
And they love the Chiefs.
Home of the A's soon enough.
They didn't care about that. I said the same thing. Hey, you get the A's. They're like, we don't care. Nobody cares about the A's. I was like, well, whatever. And they're from Stockton, California, Sacramento, California. Jet Turner. I go, your name's Jet? He goes, yeah, his real name Jet. Debbie Tolbert. Now, she was the local tie-in from the North Platte Panthers, which is Dearborn, on your way to St. Joseph to training camp. Also, Rick Bridges, who's a 49ers fan. They just drug him along. Like, why am I at this game? And so I don't know if he was miserable or happy or just neutral. And then Danette Carcare. I go, that's not your real name. She goes, it's my real name. Danette Carcare from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Again, a group that is coast to coast, but they're all Chiefs fans, and they wanted to meet here. First ever Chiefs game at GHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium.
And they just brought along the Niner fan.
And the Niner fan's like, I guess I'll go.
And he has to watch a last-minute Chiefs victory.
All too reminiscent.
Yeah, it sure
for
is.
The lad. So anyway, those
Not
are
sorry about it.
Those are fun. I mean, we meet these people, and seriously, the kingdom is just everywhere now.
Yeah, no, it's so cool. It reminds me of when I was in Branson a couple weeks ago, and also when I went to Germany ahead of time a couple years ago to meet our German fans. To really meet people face to face that love the Chiefs, and particularly even if they're not from Kansas City or this area, they just have some connection. We love this team so much, and to meet others that also love it, and to kind of share that, and to just talk about the team and our favorite moments and memories and all that kind of thing, I just love it. And It's why this team is so special, because we've had a chance to go to a lot of stadiums and see a lot of fan bases in the NFL. And some are great, but there's really nothing quite like Chiefs Kingdom. And I'm not just saying that as a guy wearing a Chiefs quarter zip. I really believe it because I grew up in it. So very cool. Very cool you met all those people.
It was great. I mean, and then I'm at the Chiefs Kingdom show at Hy-Vee on Berry Road, and a gal from Germany's there because she came to the game.
Wow.
This is her game to come to, and she wanted to go to the experience it all. So it's just fun to see how the kingdom is expanding indeed around the world. All right, we're dealing with week 3 focus because it's easy to drift even early in the season. And Andy Reid's been so good in September. Patrick Mahomes, only Roger Staubach has more September wins than Patrick Mahomes in his career. And yet this Atlanta game is one where you're going, you better be ready to go in this one because Atlanta has some dudes. They have weapons. And they're trying to break through. Do you realize in Vegas, 777, I guess if you play the slots, doesn't have to be in Vegas, is good. Not for the Falcons. They have had exactly the last 3 years, 7 wins, 7 wins, 7 wins. They're trying to break through. And how big was their 70-yard drive to win at Philadelphia on Monday night?
It was enormous. I don't know if a lot of people gave them a chance to win that game toward the end. If Saquon Barkley hangs on to the football, the Eagles win that game. Credit to the Falcons, though, for taking advantage of a mistake, and they sure did. I mean, for Kirk Cousins to take over after a night where they really didn't move the ball that much and to move them down and score a touchdown almost too quickly was pretty amazing. So shout out to them. It shows that you cannot take this team lightly. They have a lot of weapons. Kirk Cousins has played a lot of football in his career, won a lot of games in his career, and this team kind of has a newfound momentum. They feel good about what they can achieve this season, and that division is wide open. So yeah, we cannot take these guys lightly. They have a lot of talent. I'm sure that stadium's going to be rocking for Sunday Night Football. We got to be ready.
People in the NFC talk about the Detroit Lion offensive line, and they should. Some think it's the best offensive line in the league. Ooh, Atlanta's not far behind. Jake Matthews really good at left tackle. Of course, we know all the Matthews boys in the Hall of Fame, and they're Iron Men, and so is he. He's zeroing in on 165 straight starts. But there's other good offensive linemen there. And then Bijan Robinson. You Big 12 fans remember him at Texas. He would just take games over. He has, get this one, Matt, in the first 2 weeks, Bijan Robinson has 48% of the Atlanta advances. He has 32 carries and 9 receptions. So almost half of the touches when Atlanta is advancing the ball, it is Bijan Robinson.
He's the key. I texted you last night. We're recording this on Tuesday, and we watched Monday Night Football last night, that Bijan is the first, second, and third priority in this game because he's the key to everything. He's the number 8 overall pick in the draft last year. He's certainly playing like it right now, averaging more than 5 yards per carry through 2 games. And last night against Philadelphia, he averaged nearly 7 yards per carry on just 14 attempts. That included 4 runs of double-digit yardage. And here's the thing. He's a really good runner, but he also sets up the play action. And Kirk Cousins loves play action. He loves play action more than maybe anybody else in the NFL. In 2022, which was Kirk's last full-time season as a healthy starting quarterback in the NFL, he had the second most play-action dropbacks of any quarterback with 203. And on those dropbacks, threw 12 touchdowns, passer rating over 100, really, really good. Without play action, he threw 10 of his 14 interceptions, passer rating under 90. Well, for the play action to be effective, the running game has to be effective. So for the Chiefs in this game, one, you got to make sure Bijan Robinson isn't ripping off long runs like he was against the Eagles. But if you're stopping that running game, also kind of preventing that play action as well. So truly, Bijan Robinson, in my opinion, is the key to the whole game.
In just a few minutes, we're going to hear from Chamarri Conner, one of the heroes of the victory over Cincinnati. There's a lot on his plate. You're going to hear, he's going to tell you about that. But especially this week, the safeties and the linebackers, oh my goodness, Matt, they got a lot to do with Bijan Robinson because of the way he can affect a game in running every route. A running back likes to run, even some second-level routes, and then just a terrific runner, vision, balance. And we know Isaiah Pacheco's out with the injury, but Robinson is an elite runner. People say don't take a running back that early in the first round or maybe the first round at all. No, you take this guy. Back to your Cousins' point on play-action passes. Do you know how many play-action passes the Falcons threw in Week 1?
How many?
In their loss to Pittsburgh?
How many?
None.
Yeah, he didn't like that either. They didn't look like a Kirk Cousins offense at all in Week 1.
And it's weird because these guys all are kind of – his offense in Minnesota was still kind of a Sean McVay Rams. These guys were all on McVay's Rams staff when they won the Super Bowl. okay, even O'Connell up at Minnesota. But these dudes that are running the offense are Sean McVay guys. So you'd think, why wouldn't they run play action? Because you mentioned he had 4 more touchdowns last year before he had the Achilles injury off play action. Those 16 are the most in the NFL in that 22 to 23 span you're talking about with play action passes, and then they don't run any. Well, don't expect that in week 3. That's where the week 3 focus and the challenge on the linebackers and safeties are for the Kansas City Chiefs, because Cousins so good in play action, as you mentioned, and there's other dudes besides Robinson he can throw to. Drake London was very highly regarded. You and I looked at him a lot during the NFL draft analysis before he was selected, high pick. Another one, Darnell Mooney's always been an underrated receiver, I think.
Yeah, we like Darnell Mooney.
And he made a great catch on that game-winning drive. And even Ray McLeod, last seen with football like going near his shoe in Super Bowl 58, he's on this team too. But and then Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, a very good player in Kyle Pitts. They have a lot of weapons on this offense, but like you said, it all begins with Bijan, all begins with Kirk kind of setting a table with play action, in my opinion. That's where this Falcons offense wants to be. And it was really kind of strange, their game plan in week 1 against the Steelers. I don't know if Kirk coming back off the injury had anything to do with that, because he was in the shotgun a lot and trying to kind of figure out the timing with everything. Kirk wants to be under center and kind of running a traditional pro-style offense, run play action, run plays off of play action in the passing game, and hit some shots. That's where I think he wants to operate, and we saw some more of it against the Eagles, and they had some success because Bijan was, again, kind of gashing the Eagles' defense throughout the game. But creating pressure on Kirk is also really important, in my opinion. And if you can stop the running game, kind of slow down what they're doing in play action, and Kirk is just dropping back, he's kind of a different player when he's blitzed or under extreme pressure as compared to when he has a clean pocket. I mean, just the splits are significant. And this season, when under pressure, small sample size, but still, through 2 games, he's only 13 of 21 for 172 yards, been sacked 3 times, and has 2 interceptions when under pressure. And we'll talk to Chamarri Conner a little bit later, who is the master of finding ways to scheme up pressure from different areas, is Steve Spagnuolo. So hopefully Steve Spagnuolo can generate quite a bit of pressure here against Kirk Cousins, because Kirk does not like it when he's under pressure.
No, and before we get to the Chamarri interview, third down has been perplexing for both of these teams on offense, because when you look at the Falcons, even with their 1-1 and their win over the Eagles, they're 4 of 18 on third down, but the Chiefs are only 5 of 17. The Chiefs had more fourth down conversions than they had third down conversions in a victory over Cincinnati. I wouldn't try that again. So both of these teams offensively are a bit perplexed on trying to be more productive on third down.
And both teams have the talent to do it. Again, that's why you can't overlook Atlanta, because there's just so many top 10 draft picks on this offense, guys that you have to respect, and players that are going to find success as the season goes on. I think we're fortunate in a lot of ways to be getting Atlanta early in the year, because I have a feeling Atlanta, maybe in week 11 or 12, if guys can stay healthy, could really be rolling, particularly offensively, just when Kirk is comfortable on the offense and the playmakers kind of know what he wants from them. Because those Minnesota teams with Kirk, kind of underrated, in my opinion. They didn't have a ton of success in the playoffs, but generally were always pretty good. So I think later in the year, this team could be very successful. You got to make sure that the Chiefs in this game are not one of the reasons they find success moving forward. The Eagles certainly were on the losing end of that on Monday night, and you can see how that game against the Eagles could be kind of a springboard for Atlanta moving forward. Like they saw the scheme work. They saw what they're being told by this new coaching staff work. The Chiefs have to make sure they're not another reason why these guys buy into what they're doing there. But I have respect for this team. I have respect for Kirk. I think we both watched the quarterback series. I like Kirk a lot. He seems like a great guy, just not rooting for him this week.
No, not for nor is our guest this week on Defending the Kingdom, Week 3 focus. And by the way, the last time the Chiefs went to Atlanta, it was the Eric Berry pick 6, pick 2 game.
Oh, yeah.
Forever to be remembered in the Chiefs' kingdom. But maybe it's a pick 6 and maybe a pick 2 even coming, because there hasn't been a pick 2 since that time in the National Football League. But maybe Chamarri Conner will get that done. If the Chiefs' kingdom wasn't sure who he was before, they sure know who he is now. Number 27, Chamarri Conner, the second-year hybrid defensive back for the Kansas City Chiefs. That scoop and score was incredible. Walk us through that play, and how excited were you? We're going, I got the ball, and I'm going this way.
Yes, sir. I was dropping down in the middle of the defense. Coach Spaz dialed up a great play. The D-line made a great play on the ball. Those guys got the ball out, got the quarterback down, and I just seen the ball popped out late, and I just went to scoop it and take it all the way in.
When you were in the end zone, were you wondering if it counted? Because there was a lot of confusion at first. Like, was Burrow down? Was he not?
Yep.
Did you just not know and you just played through the whistle? What happened there?
Yeah, but I didn't know. I didn't even want to start celebrating. Like, guys came jumping up with me, and I was like, hold up, I don't know if it's a touchdown yet. So.
Well, smart play. I remember being up in the press box, and we didn't really get an angle of it. And then I saw Patrick going out for the 2-point conversion. I'm like, I guess it counted. So heads up by you.
Yeah, when I called it for the play-by-play, maybe you've heard the call, I was the same, but you just kept going. And I thought, I'm going to keep going with this call because if it counts, I'm going off. So it was awesome. My second favorite play, and this was so awesome, was your blitz, your A-gap blitz. And I had Trent McDuffie on the Chiefs Kingdom show Monday night, and we were talking about how it's an art form. But you did not tip off the fact that you were coming at all. What about that and going, hey, I'm just back here, and then you were out of a cannon?
Yep. Well, it's really the whole defense play a part in it. Play a part in, the strong side got to hold their disguise so it can help me come free. So everybody did their job. They held their responsibility. Then at the last minute, everybody just got into it. So it was a great disguise and a great play.
The tight end in the backfield, Justin Reed kind of occupies him. You have a straight shot at Joe Burrow. What's going through your mind there when it's third down and you realize there's no one in between you and the quarterback?
It's just don't miss, don't miss, don't miss. And I was just trying to take the air out as fast as I could before he threw the ball. So I just tried to hurry up and go get him down.
And you got him.
Yes, sir.
But that brings up a point, Chamarri, and the fact that our DBs, when they rush like edge rushers.
Yeah.
So how much have you learned from McDuffie and the other guys, Jay Reed, about if I blitz, I've got to be under control but still attack?
I learned a lot from those guys. Just every day seeing the way that they do those things when their number is called. Having a lot of one-on-ones with Coach Spags and having that same situation of me blitzing off the edge or me blitzing in that gap. So I was definitely prepared for it.
Just how much fun are you having right now, Chamarri? Because I think we all talked about in the offseason, this could be a big season for you. You kind of paid your dues on special teams last year. Now you have a chance to play more on defense. And second game of the year, you have a touchdown, you have a sack that sets up a game-winning drive. How much fun are you having right now?
I'm having time of my life, man. I'm having a lot of fun. Being out there with the guys, flying around on defense, flying around on special teams. I'm having a lot of fun.
But how much is on your plate? I mean, you make the kickoff coverage tackle, right? And let's stop right there. What about this new kickoff rule? Like, you're so close.
Yeah.
You're only 40 yards away from those guys.
Yeah.
Is it kind of weird, or how much have you had to adjust?
It's definitely weird. In the preseason, I was having a little trouble with it, getting used to it, but now I feel like I'm getting a good sense and good feel for it.
And then how much is on your plate? And we're asking you to do, he's a safety, he's a corner, he's got to be a special team ace, you got to blitz, you got to cover, you got to tackle. How much do you go in, we're going into this Atlanta game, how much do you have in your brain going into a game?
I try not to think too much about all the things, but that's kind of my role, being that versatile guy that can play a lot of different spots. So I just take it all in and just keep grinding at it.
Speaking of versatility, what do you prefer more, picking off Josh Allen like you did last year or sacking Joe Burrow?
I'm a DB, so I'm always going to pick.
Okay.
For sure.
All right.
Yes, sir. But that sack, I'll say the sack, matter of fact, just because of the situation. So I'll say the sack.
Were you leading Matt to a Kirk Cousins pick by Chamarri Conner?
Hey, I don't know. What do you think about this weekend facing the Falcons?
I'm excited. I'm excited for the challenge. They played a great game on Monday, so I'm excited for it.
I'm going to close this way. Virginia Tech defensive players have so much pride in what they call LPD, and that's the lunch pail defense. It goes all the way back to Bud Foster.
Sure.
And you guys have a great fraternity of NFL defensive players from Tech. How much of that have you brought to the Chiefs in the National Football League?
I think I brought a lot. I feel like it's instilled in me. I try to carry myself like that every day, just having that LPD mentality. Every day you going in to work, you going in to get better. So I try to take that with me every day, whether it's coming in here or if it's, off the field, on the field. I just try to live my life like that.
Hey, the Chiefs Kingdom knows he's buying us lunch, and we'll do so again this week against Atlanta. super excited about that young man, Chamarri Conner. The growth he has made. People were worried about L'Jarius Sneed leaving, and heck of a player, LJ, love you. But when you see Chamarri Conner, you see so much upside for him to be a dynamic defensive player.
I love his attitude. He has the perfect attitude for this defense, and his versatility is also a perfect scheme fit. Him and Steve Spagnuolo were made for each other. And look at Spagnuolo's history with defensive backs here in Kansas City. You kind of talked about it with Chamarri. A couple years ago in 2022, L'Jarius Sneed had 18 quarterback pressures out of the slot as a blitzer. That led all defensive backs. Last season, Trent McDuffie had 16 pressures as a blitzer out of the slot. That led all cornerbacks. That was Chamarri's first pressure this season, that sack on Joe Burrow. I have a feeling a lot more coming over the course of the season.
And again, we kid about Virginia Tech and the whole LPD thing. He was prepared to do this more than most college players because that's what Tech asked him to do.
Yeah.
And that's, again, another Brett Veach and his staff star. They watch these guys, the scheme they're in. Same with Jaden Hicks. He did the same thing at Washington State. So, again, it's when you evaluate players, it's more than just 40 time and how you do in the cone drill. So let's talk about this Atlanta defense against this Chiefs offense. No Isaiah Pacheco, we know that. But this Atlanta defense is almost a mirror image right now of the Kansas City Chiefs defense. A lot of yards given up. The Chiefs are at or near the bottom in some of the defensive statistics. But, when you get close to the end zones, trying to score in the red zone, the Chiefs are outstanding in the red zone. They're 3 of 8 in touchdowns allowed, but Atlanta's 2 of 7.
Yeah.
That was the key in their win against Philadelphia. And the same Pittsburgh beat them with 6 field goals. Pittsburgh beat them 18-10 with 6 field goals. They couldn't get into the end zone. So this is Atlanta team. You could say bend not break. That's cliche, but there's some capable defenders on this Atlanta team. But right now, they're kind of hard to score on.
Red zone has been the key. You said it. That's what I have circled on my sheet right here. It's 2 of 7 in the red zone so far this year, and that has kept the Falcons' offense in games. That kept them in the game against the Eagles and gave Kirk an opportunity to go win it at the end. And, yeah, they have good players on this defense. Grady Jarrett, defensive tackle, really good player, has 8 pressures. Nobody else on their team has more than 4, but Jarrett has been really good in the middle of that defensive front. And Jesse Bates is an outstanding safety. We know all about him from his time with Cincinnati, but his play on the goal line, did you go back and watch that?
Yes, sir.
A fantastic play on the goal line to prevent a touchdown. So really good player, particularly over the middle of the field. They've been a little leaky, though. So 25 missed tackles this year, 4th most of any team in the NFL. They've only forced 1 turnover. It was a big one. It was the interception at the end of the Eagles game, but just 1 turnover so far this year. And teams have ran on them effectively. It's a little unfair if you look at the full numbers because they faced Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts. But still, look at what Saquon did on Monday night. He rushed for a bunch of yards against these guys. And as a team, Philadelphia had 186 yards against Atlanta. Last 2 weeks, Saquon and Najee Harris have combined for 12 broken tackles. It's too bad Isaiah Pacheco won't play in this game because I think he'd have an opportunity to have a really big game. But the scheme still worked really well for the Chiefs in terms of running the football overall. It kind of has for the first 2 weeks of the year, whether it's Carson Steele, Samaje Perine, somebody else, whoever's in there. There's going to be an opportunity, I think, for some broken tackles, some big runs. We need that here against Atlanta, particularly early in the game to set the tone.
Do people still collect comic books? This is a question for our Gen Z Kingdom Defenders.
Ask Rob Alberino, our boss. He told me that he has like a first edition copy.
He's kind of a Gen X dude, though. I'm saying Gen Z. Or is it all electronic?
That's a good question. No, I think some people still do.
They do?
I don't really buy into all the NFT stuff personally.
Okay.
I think you have to hold it in your hands for it to be real. That's just what I think.
But I love you're kind of millennial, but you're like old school Gen X guy. All right, the reason I ask, this is like picking up an old comic book of Superman or Batman and going, oh, these villains, ooh. There's some old Chiefs villains that play now for the Atlanta Falcons. Matthew Judon, remember him?
Yeah.
From the Ravens trying to kill Patrick Mahomes? He was literally trying to knock him out, end his career.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Don't love that.
Here he is. He's out there now for the Atlanta Falcons. Justin Simmons, the old Bronco, he's out there.
Like Dr. Doom.
He's Lex Luthor now playing for the Atlanta Falcons. Like, I'm looking at these guys going, ooh, there's some old villains in this game that might make it kind of fun.
Yeah, there are. So it's not really – it's funny because we don't play the Falcons a whole lot. So we don't know a ton about them, to be honest. But when you see a lot of these players that have played against us in some kind of big AFC games or divisional games over the years, you start thinking maybe we know more about the Falcons than we originally thought.
So when you pick up those old comic books, either like literally or electronically, and you see those old villains, that may help your week 3 focus.